On today's DNVR Broncos podcast, I'm going to tell you why that was the offensive line today, and I was the defense taking out the quarterback with James Palmer. We also talked to Bo Nix, Jarrett Stidham, and Zach Wilson after practice, and we're going to hear from all of them on the show, which starts now. Oh, pressure was beaten down on the Broncos quarterbacks today. And good thing we've got James Palmer to tell us how to take that pressure off of quarterbacks. You're going to solve all the Broncos problems today.
I'm going to solve all the Broncos problems?
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of pressure.
Oh, there you go.
Like
and no pressure here on the DNVR Broncos podcast. We've got the Toyota chat rocking and rolling with us today. James is going to be extra locked into the Toyota chat today, looking at what you guys are saying.
I was on it the other day.
Maybe have some spice in there today. And, of course, we are live inside the Toyota Lounge here inside the DNVR Bar. And, of course, the Toyota Lounge is driven by your local Front Range Toyota stores. So if you need a new car, check them out. All right, James, we got a lot to get to today. Oh, and something's already caught your eye.
Was that you going like this? Drop a like?
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome. That was cool.
We've got Todd dropping likes.
Go, Todd.
We got Henry dropping
There he
likes.
goes.
Yep.
Oh, saucy. Oh, he almost
Catching
dropped
a
it.
football.
He almost dropped the ball.
We need to get you on one of those.
I'll do it.
What would you be doing?
Oh, I don't know.
Would you be doing like the quarterback where you're holding the ball out straight?
Like this?
Yep, exactly.
Or the tweeter end zone dance from Varsity Blues, maybe. Scott Kahn.
Right.
I watched Varsity Blues last night.
Speaking of the Mile High Salute.
Straight in football situations, yeah.
That's impressive. Speaking of the Mile High Salute and speaking of things to watch, got to check out your show.
Yeah, me and TD.
Yeah.
Me and TD are coming out with a little segment every single week, I believe, with the Broncos. Just kind of going around, seeing some sights and sounds. First one's out.
Yep.
TD and I went down to the Air Force Academy, had just a run-of-mill 3-star general teach us how to properly Mile High Salute.
Has TD been doing it right all these years?
No, he hasn't. And he
course.
actually, when we got down there, he was like, I've never even asked how to do it properly, but it came about from their running back room, all of them kind of together, and a salute to the military. That's kind of what it was for. So it was kind of cool to go down there and actually kind of see exactly what it was about.
Was that right?
We did it with sabers too. That was a little scary. Yeah, I was a little intimidated to use a saber.
Man, it's also cool to hear the backstory about how that came out.
Yeah,
how it came out to be.
Real
So
cool.
Broncos.
And now that guy, 3-star general, head of the Air Force Academy, he retired. You know what he's doing now?
Coaching?
He's the head of the college football playoff.
Wow.
Literally the head of the playoff.
Wow, which is very important. Jim Harbaugh, his Michigan team, might not be able to participate in that one.
Oh, well.
Jim Harbaugh also
Boo-hoo.
will be stuck in the NFL because if he ever goes back to college, he's going to have a 1-year suspension. So maybe he'll just ruin the Chargers and then be stuck there. So we'll find out about that starting this year. But James, let's start with the quarterbacks today, and then we have some bigger picture things to look at with the quarterbacks and really interesting questions that you asked the quarterbacks today that we heard from the quarterbacks, and then also some other things going on around the league that impact the Broncos too. But let's start with the quarterbacks, and let's dive into the Bo Watch today. James, how did Bo Nix do today?
Oh, we're getting right into that. Yeah, I thought.
Or you want to take a big step back? Into...
Well, yeah, I wanted the 30,000-foot view first. Yeah, to throw that Bo Nix thing off there. Let's just set it up, right? Today's another third down day. It was pressure day.
Yeah.
Essentially what that means is Vance Joseph was assigned with throwing a variety of pressure looks on third down. Obviously, that doesn't happen every third down in the NFL. Sometimes you're going to show it, drop multiple guys. You want to put a lot of guys in coverage. You don't want to give them the third down. Sometimes you want to pressure up front and give the quarterback, something they maybe weren't expecting, and you bring somebody and you try to, throw them off before they can even, let the play really kind of develop on third down. That was kind of today. So these quarterbacks, all three of them under a boatload of pressure from this defensive line. Now, we've seen this defensive line play well throughout camp, really. I think DJ Jones looks really comfortable playing more of his traditional spot. I think Zach Allen looks really good. Today, Jonathan Cooper was, He was flying around. Where did you go to school? Try to remember.
Ohio State University.
That's awesome.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, it is. Where did the other starting edge rusher go to college? Buckeye edge rushers, baby. Here we go. I-O. Jonathan Cooper. It was back. I was running the back-to-back plays in the backfield
to start practice.
Start that. That was that team period that we're talking about with third down. In the backfield. Then another one, I think a third one in a row. He was back there, but I think he was back there with the rest of the defensive line. It seemed like on those 3-play sequences. So the quarterbacks had a lot to handle, really pre and post snap.
Yeah,
because a lot of it was at there. And I asked Sean kind of about this, and about how Bo and these guys have to go through, and Bo specifically, the checks and the alignments and all of these different things. Because I've talked to some offensive linemen, they've been pretty impressed with the way Bo has adjusted things at the line of scrimmage from things he's seen pre-snap. Like Garrett Bowles told me, he's like, there's a couple times I'm lining up and I hear the check he calls. I'm like, this kid's a rookie. Like, yeah, that's a good call. Like, yeah, let's do that. Let's check to that. And so that was a big part of what was on their plate today. And I would say they were all under a lot of pressure. Some of it we don't know was whether their fault or not. I wouldn't say it all falls on them, but it was a little bit of a tough sledding in that period for the offense.
And that's a really good part. Maybe the quarterbacks did worse today than we thought because they didn't make the right checks. Maybe they did better because they made the right checks and the offensive line didn't actually fall into that. But then on top of that, so the offensive line didn't help the quarterbacks out. The receivers didn't help the quarterbacks
we had
out.
The case of the dropsies today.
Oh, my good. In fact, and we'll get to this play, but one of the plays, the ball hit off a receiver's face mask, popped into the air, and turned into an interception.
Zach Wilson's ball?
That was Jarrett Stidham.
Stidham?
Yep, who actually threw a dart on that one. So the offensive line didn't help the quarterbacks out. The receivers didn't help the quarterbacks out. But overall, I personally thought, and we'll get into the grades right now because you summed it up great about the pressure. I thought the quarterbacks actually did okay regarding the circumstances. Now, in terms of a game situation, if this was a game, the offense probably scores 10 points in this, and then you're like, well, the quarterback didn't do well at all. But I really think it was the rest of the offense that let all three quarterbacks down today. So let's dive in to these guys, and maybe we can focus specifically on this end of game situation when we talk about these quarterbacks, because that was the most important by far period for the quarterbacks, maybe when they got the most work in under a clean pocket. Wasn't clean all the time, though. But let's dive into Bo, and let's start with him first. James, before you see the score, what are you giving Bo?
I'm going to give him a 6.25 today.
Oh, wow. Okay, so he was okay.
Yeah, what I liked is with everything we just described, the pressures that were coming, they're coming from varieties, but there were unblocked players, which that can fall sometimes on the quarterback. We don't know some of these things. You have to remember, we're watching practice. We don't know if the running back missed that assignment to pick up the extra rusher, or did the quarterback not give the assignment? Right? Or was the offensive line giving an assignment? There's a lot of different things that can happen. But I thought he handled it well. I think that's the part that stands out to me is he doesn't really get rattled in the pocket all that much. His feet are pretty calm in the pocket. We know he's a good athlete and can run outside of it, but I didn't see him panic.
No.
And this is what's going to happen in the NFL. I mean, Sean has said it how many times, right? There's just the pockets in the NFL are dirty all the time.
Yep.
That's what you live in. And he doesn't panic in those situations.
No.
That stood out today with the pressure situations.
And then after practice, he told us the game is already starting to slow down for him. And I can see that. Obviously, it's something you want to hear from a quarterback, but you want to see it too. And you can see that from him, which is just huge. And I think it was yesterday in practice, he stepped up in the pocket and just took 2 days ago. He stepped up in the pocket and took off. And I love that because it was such a quick decision reacting to what was going on, because in the past, you might have seen a quarterback here in Denver gone the other way and ran out in the back of the pocket and get sacked.
Bo does have a tendency to retreat. It's retreating straight back. He backpedals a lot.
Right. Keeps his eyes downfield,
but here's the thing. We're kind of nitpicking a rookie here. He definitely retreats. You don't want to be throwing while you're retreating. That's pick six central a lot of times in the NFL. But I will say this. He's not panicking while he's retreating. It's not like he's screaming retreat and turning his back to the he doesn't turn his back to everything. You would want him to escape up.
Right.
And,
step up.
Exactly. And escape up through those A and B. Certain quarterbacks, even ones that can't move, like Brady, always escaped kind of up.
Right.
You'd want some of those things to happen. But that's nipping. I'm still saying, even when he's having some things that Sean's probably like, well, we might want to tighten this up. Maybe remember, hey, you don't need to retreat here. Step up and in. Like here, we've still seen that at times where he steps up. He's still not panicking.
No.
He's still not like, overly flustered by the rush by any means.
No, certainly not. And I didn't think he was panicking in this end of game situation, which the Broncos did to end practice. 51 seconds left. The offense is down 26-20. They're on the defense's 37-yard line. Each side has one timeout. Who does this favor, or is this a pretty fair situation?
It's pretty fair.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe favors the defense slightly, but only 37 yards, 51 seconds left to go. And Bo slowly moves down the field. First pass for 9 yards, gets 2nd and 1, but you need a touchdown here. The next play, he scrambles for 6, and then they have to call a timeout immediately,
Gotcha.
which isn't the best thing right there. Then he hits Lucas Kroll for 12. Then you got 1st and 10 from the 13-yard line with 16 seconds left. Who's a good target to look at when you get in the red zone?
What did he finish? 4th in the NFL in touchdowns last year?
Exactly. Courtland
The big
Sutton.
man.
So what does Bo do? 1st and 10 from the 13? He throws to Courtland Sutton in the end zone. Incomplete there. Wasn't able to connect the second play. What does he do? Courtland Sutton in the end zone. Now, this one would have been a tough catch, but it did go through Courtland's hands.
Yeah.
Probably should have been caught, especially from a guy that makes incredible plays. And this would not have been nearly to the level of difficulty of his ones last year. And then 3rd and 10 from the 13, 5 seconds left. You got to take another shot to the end zone because it's likely your last. A pass to Lil Jordan Humphrey, a pretty good pass, but Jaquan McMillan right there knocks it down.
The camp he's having, man.
Oh, my gosh, it's incredible.
He's having a great camp.
Speaking of pressure, he's bringing the pressure, too.
He does. He comes. They bring him on some of these corner blitzes, and they find ways to utilize, I think, his really good football IQ and instincts when he's lined up right off of the defensive line, kind of, and put him in some of those like kind of bunch formations, like in the middle of the field. He's pretty good at finding some ways to make plays from there for sure.
Man, we're talking about him being on Little Jordan Humphrey in the end zone. That's a size matchup, and he was still able to be physical.
Yeah, Little Jordan Humphrey's not little.
Oh no, he's not Big Jordan. No. Yeah. So Jaquan coming up with a big play on Lil Jordan Humphrey. Any final notes that you want to say on Bo before we get into a bigger conversation about him later in the show?
No, like I also think because we'll see some of it here, you could see a confidence and an ability at the podium today where you were like, and he hinted to a few times, like it's slowing down for him.
Yep.
He definitely feels much more comfortable. You can see from the little things he's doing, like PJ Locke saying he's looking safeties off. We talked about that earlier. His answer today was hilarious. He's like, "There's kind of exactly what I talked about and we talked about on this show." He was like, "If you're not doing that in the NFL, you can't play in the NFL."
Yep.
He said that. Like, but you have to do that. But his leadership off of the field was one of the things that he kind of noted today. Of like, you got to be a leader in the cafeteria. You got to be a leader throughout the building.
Right.
It has rubbed off on some other players I've talked to. Like that he does not carry himself like a rookie by any stretch. Wise beyond his years and sense like that. I think you get that from the length of time he spent in college.
Yep.
And the amount of ball he's kind of seen coming in as a rookie. But I think those all point to like the number one thing that we've talked about is like you just don't want to wreck the kid once you play him. And he looks like he can handle a lot mentally.
And we're going to get into that and hear from Bo from a question that you asked later in the show. But let's get into the other guys who practiced today with Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah, you didn't. I never saw the scores.
Oh, we never saw the scores. Okay, yeah, let's see Bo's scores. Henry gave him a 4.25. Ed gave him a 5.5, so we kind of average out to right around my grade as well.
Oh, I went above you.
You did. You did. Yeah, you did. I thought it was slightly above average. And again, for a rookie to be slightly above average or a little bit more than average.
That's why I kind of weighted it today, because it's slightly above average day, I thought, performance-wise, on a pressure day.
Exactly.
Which those are the days that rookies' heads really should spin.
Yeah.
Like, you should be like, I didn't see this guy coming this way, because you're already so concerned with, all right, I got to call the play in the huddle. Then I got to make sure everybody is lined up correctly. Then I got to take a look at the defense. And usually when we do this is the defense I want to look at. I want to find this. Oh, wait. This is a pressure day. Who's coming from where?
Right.
Oh, what's the play clock at? So, like, there's a lot on your plate, and for him not to panic during these pressure periods, I thought was something that stood out to me.
100%, and that with everything that was on his plate, I thought he actually did pretty good today. So, you and I think it was an above-average day for Bo. Let's get into Zach Wilson and Jarrett Stidham after I give a shout-out to our friends over at Bet365.
This is when I always read the
Well, James, let me ask you something about Bet365. Did you see the men's 1,500 meter race in the Olympics last night?
No, but I had a buddy FaceTime me the other night, and he wants us to get in the pool because he thinks, like, these scores aren't low enough. And I was like, you're out of your mind. Like, these dudes are flying in the pool. But no, I didn't see it, but we did this with the 400, and we went to a track and we ran it because he was thinking, he was thinking some of these women's times in the qualifiers before the Olympics were not great. Oh my
so
God!
You thought he could beat him?
He thought he could beat him.
Wow!
So we went to the track, Northfield High School. Like our times were like double their times.
Of course, yes, of course.
Oh my God,
man,
it was embarrassing.
He could probably, if he thought he could beat them, he could get some crazy odds over at Bet365 for him to beat the Olympians. And Bet365 is never ordinary, so maybe you could actually get them to place that bet for you over at Bet365. Scan the QR code on our screen, or go to Bet365.com or download the Bet365 app to get in. And they're going to give you, when you use the code DNVR365, they're going to give you 2 different offers. You get to choose which one you want. Deposit $10 and choose between getting a bet and get place offer of $5. When you bet $5, you get $150 in bonus bets, or a first bet safety net offer up to $1,000, meaning if your bet loses that you place that on, you'll get that back in bonus bets. So make sure to go to the Bet365 app. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. You must be 21 and older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. And I also have to give a shout out to our friends over at Toyota. And James, maybe you can cook up some good comments here. Maybe some people will hit you with some comments during this next one.
Read the ads faster, Zach. Come on.
Got to give a shout out to our friends over at Toyota. Your Front Range Toyota stores are going to hook you up. Whether you're looking for a sports car, they've got the Supra. Whether you're looking for a very, very powerful Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck. Whether you're looking for the Toyota Land Cruiser, the Tacoma, the RAV4, the Grand Highlander. They've got it all and much more over at Toyota. And if you want to get one, visit your local Front Range Toyota stores. The location near you, AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of DNVR. James, you're studying your notes. Who are we going to next?
I was just looking over some things.
What stands out?
I was just reading some things Sean was talking about that stood out to me. We've talked a lot about not really pushing the ball downfield a bunch.
Yep.
And I've been a little critical. I'd like Bo to start getting a little more aggressive downfield.
Yeah.
But I was talking to a buddy of mine, long time, he's retired now, but long time NFL quarterback. Like 14 years in the league, and we were just kind of texting. I was actually getting some insurance on the Bo Nix elite arm strength thing.
And did you?
Yeah, he said he's got a good but not great arm. But
the first thing he said too?
That was the very first thing out of his mouth. But I was asking him, I was like, well, I'm seeing these checkdowns like constantly. And he said something that kind of stood out to me, and I feel like I want to look at this a little differently too. He's like, you got to remember, man, like he also is trying to get comfortable. Like as he continues to get more comfortable, the eyes will continue to go up and they'll look to get a little bit more aggressive. But you got to remember, a rookie quarterback with everything they're doing, like he's probably comfortable there right now, and that's okay. And I was like, that's probably a pretty good point. Like, you know what I mean? That's a spot that he's actually, that he's comfortable in right now. And that reminded me of like Sean being kind of asked that today, and he's like, I just want them to play fast. That's the number one thing. Like make sure that the quarterback is playing fast, making quick decisions, quick with the football, and then be aggressive when the time says to be aggressive. So I do think maybe I've been a little overly critical of the Bo Nix going downfield.
A little self-reflection.
It is. It's a little self-reflection.
A little therapy session right now?
It was a little therapy session.
I mean, you got your legs up too?
I do. I'm almost
We're ready to go.
Oh, my knee's been bothering me.
I mean, this chair, it feels like therapy session.
Does a little bit. And so I do think that's something that we're looking at. And is he playing fast? Is he playing with confidence and comfortable? I think that's the thing we're looking at. As we move this to Stidham, I think that's what we have seen from him the whole time, and he should be a little more comfortable. He talked today about I'm really comfortable in this system. I'm really comfortable in the way this operates. I think we've seen him with that added comfort look downfield a little bit more. Mm-hmm. What'd he do again on the first play of the 2 minute?
He looked deep and he connected.
And what'd he do again? He connects in almost every single time he does.
He does. But yet he still picks and chooses, which is smart. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whereas you might see Zach Wilson be going deep more and more and more, where he doesn't connect on all of them. Pretty much every single time Jarrett does, he hits.
Yeah. I walked off the podium. I was like, I see you pushing the ball in 2 minutes. He's like, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Because I think he does know, like, he is picking his spots, and he's picking them pretty well right now. That started off a pretty good end of game for him.
Yep, mm-hmm. It really did. And so let's get in. Well, first, give me your score for Jarrett Stidham.
For Stiddy, I'll put him.
Bo's at 6.25.
Slightly above Bo at 6.5.
6.5. There we go. And I'm going the exact same score as Bo. I'm going a 5.5 for Jarrett Stidham. Again, he was dealt a very difficult card by his receivers, by his offensive line, by the defensive scheme today. And I thought he did a pretty good job. And in the same situation that he was dealt, again, starting at the 37-yard line, needing a touchdown with 51 seconds left, he starts off by throwing an absolute laser to Javonte in the middle of the field for 21 yards. And then what I loved, he gets to the line of scrimmage. He could have spiked the ball, and Sean could have called that. But instead, they do a quick play, and he doesn't see a wide receiver right away, so he immediately throws it out of bounds. It probably costs you 3 more seconds than doing a spike, but it gives you a chance at something. Mm-hmm. And this isn't just for Jarrett. I like that Sean calls this play like that because you do have 3 seconds to burn, and it gives you a chance instead of just spiking the ball. So, but then I also like that instead of freaking out and holding on to the ball and wasting 10 seconds and taking a sack, he immediately threw it away. Mm-hmm. So just right after that big play, you're sitting at 2nd and 10 from the 16 with 28 seconds left, and you have a timeout. Mm-hmm. So this one, though, was an absolute head-scratcher from a Sean Payton perspective, I think.
Go ahead.
They threw a screen to Blake Watson in the middle of the field, and he gets tackled 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Inbounds. Mm-hmm. So you have to burn a timeout there. Yep. What are we doing, James?
I don't know. I'm not going to question Sean Payton as a play caller.
That one you can question.
I mean, I listen. Like, there's things in practice though. Like, I want to see this.
Sure, that's what it had to be, right?
Yeah, it's like I want to see this again. As much as we say, like, all right, this end of game scenario. There's this much time left. There's this spot on the field they're going, and they're going to have this timeout. Sean's still going to manipulate it to see certain things. It's not 100% a game thing. I would assume that is because there's something he wanted to see. When it could have even been defensively. Like, let's see if they remain disciplined here. Like, it could have been anything.
And that's what...
But yes, I think that's why.
Yeah, and I 100% agreed. I do not think he would do that in a real game situation. But then that puts the Broncos at 3rd and 13, 25 seconds left from the 19-yard line. He goes deep to Javonte with Chris Abrams-Drain, a rookie that you should, both of those guys actually, rookies that you should not forget about. Great coverage by Abrams-Drain on Javonte in the end zone.
Reps.
He is getting some reps, because we're talking about... a good defense that was out there at this point. Then 4th and 13 from the 19-yard line. He goes to the end zone, incomplete, but pass interference. And instead of putting the ball on the 1,
they did it again.
Yep, moved it up to the 10 with 12 seconds left. And this is where the ball bounced off a helmet and just flew into the air. Stidham tried to rifle this pass into the middle of the field. And I think it went off a receiver's head. Did you see whose head it went off?
I couldn't tell because like they tell us to go down for the media stuff, and there's like 7,000 helmets in our way while we're trying to watch the end of the game. It is the end of the game, I guess. End of game scenario, end of practice.
Right.
And you're like sitting there with binoculars trying to like look through all the heads, and all of a sudden the ball like dinked off and goes up, and you're like, I don't know what happened.
And then it falls into Lavelle Bailey. But speaking of a rookie, you don't want to forget, number 56, inside linebacker. He intercepts it. So that ends that portion for Stidham. Stidham made it down to the 10. Bo made it down to the 13. And then Zach Wilson says, all right, this competition is not over. I'm not getting out of here without at least putting up a fight, because it is pretty clear that he's now the 3rd quarterback.
Yeah.
Even though he's listed as number 2 on the unofficial depth chart because they put rookies at the back. And Sean Payton won't eliminate Zach from the competition. And Zach did his best job of saying, I'm not out of this one. So the same exact scenario Zach was in. He gets a completion for 6 yards, then a completion for 10 yards, calls a timeout. 26 seconds left. He's sacked. You can't have that. You can't throw it away. You can't do that. So that was a big ding for me. And then they spiked the ball immediately to stop the clock. 3rd and 12 from the 23-yard line. Only 9 seconds left. And he finds Troy Franklin in the back of the end zone. Little bobble. Did he get his feet down? Was it a catch?
Now, strangely enough, all the DBs on the sideline say no catch.
Yeah.
Never seen that before.
But I don't know. On the podium, Zach said it was a catch.
Zach said, oh, yeah, touchdown. It was a good ball.
Yeah.
It was a good ball. If he secures that right away, I mean, that's a touchdown. I think that's
Right.
that would have been the call that everybody's looking at on a replay or whatever it would be, whether like he bobbled it and then when he regained it, both his feet were in. But the ball was great. Like it was a good ball.
Yeah. It was. And he was the only one to score. And Sean gave him an opportunity this time. We've seen them do end-of-game situations in the past, and it's Bo gets a chance, Stidham gets a chance, practice over. Don't even give it to Zach. Gave him a shot here.
I liked it. I liked that they gave him a shot there. I mean, listen, I've been told there's some love for Zach Wilson in that building. And I think they want to see what he can become. And, I mean, great. Give him the rep in practice. See if he can put him in the end zone. He's going to get a lot of them in training camp. I mean, in the preseason. He's going to get a lot of them in the preseason. So I think they want to see what this growth with him is kind of like. I like that they did it, honestly. Because also everybody else who's on that field needs that end of game rep to try to, defense keep him out of the end zone and offense try to get in the end zone. Troy Franklin needs that rep. Big time.
100%.
So I'm glad they did it.
Yeah, and he needs to hold on to that right away because like you said, if he catches it right away, it's a touchdown. Yeah. There's no questioning it.
Yeah.
So because of that, there was the good. The final play was a good throw. But then the bad, the sack, that is one thing you can't do.
That's happened in camp a little bit.
Yes, it does. And the rest of practice, I thought Zach was just as good as Bo and Jarrett. So I gave him a 5.5, the exact same score for all three quarterbacks today. I thought they
gave everybody the exact same score.
Yeah, I thought they were all like the exact same player because they were all a little above average with really bad circumstances. I thought. What would you go here?
With Zach, I mean, listen, I like he's the only one who got in the end zone.
It's true.
I'll give him a 6.
Oh, okay.
I'll put everybody in the 6s today.
I like that. See, we were talking about it before the show. Like, I was actually more impressed with the quarterbacks in a terrible situation than I thought it was going to be.
Well, it's kind of like what we were talking about yesterday. Was it yesterday? They're all running together. Yesterday on here. Where Sean obviously said that the day was not good, a lot amount of mistakes. It was just not a good day, and we want to see how they bounce back today.
Yeah.
There's also some more adversity for the quarterbacks with drops, with the way the pressure was getting through the offensive line at times. Like, how do you fight through all that? Like, I want to see that, and they still kept, I think putting the ball in pretty good spots, even after, all of those things I just mentioned. So that's what I want to see when things don't go right, because they're not going to go right. How do you respond as a quarterback?
And Sean was happy with the way the team responded.
I thought he'd be a little more upset at the podium, but he wasn't.
I thought so too, because as we know, Sean's an offensive guy. He's the head coach, but he's an offensive guy, and the defense won today, without a doubt. But he was happy with what was it? The mental effort that they had, the physical effort, and then also he thought the tempo was really good, and they got a lot of good work in. So from a head coach, he was happy. Okay, let's move on to some bigger picture looks at these quarterbacks here as a fire truck is rolling right past us here on Colfax in New York at the DNVR Bar. But first, I got to give a shout out to our friends over at UC Health with their Ready, Set, Co initiative that they've got going. And of course, that is Coach Prime wants to help you and other Coloradans be the healthiest selves as Chief Motivation Officer of UC Health's Ready, Set, Co Challenge. The goal of this challenge is to get Colorado back to its rightful place as the healthiest state. We should always be there. We should always be the healthiest state.
I'm trying my best to contribute.
Yeah, you really are. I mean, every off day, you're in the mountains. I'm hitting the mountains on this off day coming up, too.
Are you?
Yeah.
Where are you going to go?
Frisco.
Oh, okay.
Got a little hike plan for Saturday and come back Saturday night because we got early game on Sunday,
She's 11 a.m.
11 a.m.
against the Colts. And so Coach Prime wants to help get that back. And not only is he the chief motivation officer, but he's also nutrition prime, exercise prime, sleep prime, mindfulness prime. And each prime persona breaks down how to dive into each area of the Ready, Set, Co mindset. Each of the 5 primes is here to help you motivate, inspire you, and help you. All you have to do is join up. So here's how you join up. Go to uchealth.com/readysetco. That's uchealth.org/readysetco. If you want to join in, make sure it's also going to be in our show note description. So join in and get in on that initiative. And speaking of get in and on things, if you want to get in the building to certain games, James, you want to use the code DNVR over at Game Time, where they're going to give you $20 off your first purchase over at Game Time. This is for concerts. This is for events. This is for sporting events. This is for preseason games. This is for regular season games, postseason games, anything you want. Game Time has all of the tickets. And one of the things I love about Game Time, they've got the all-in button. So you know exactly how much you're going to pay for a ticket when you're looking at it. You're not going to select a ticket for $100, then get to the end and they're charging you $210 for it. And you're like, what?
Yeah, come on.
They're not going to surprise you with it. So I love the all-in pricing over at Game Time. I also love getting $20 off your first purchase by using that code DNVR over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app. That's the best place to buy your tickets. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem it with code DNVR for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. So, James, of course, this is...
I'm reading all these comments.
This is
There's a lot
anything
of
good?
Henry JP battle going on in these comments.
Oh.
I don't think it's real. I like Henry.
What's the battle?
First, it was like Henry... said he had better hair than me, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, that would be a wild statement.
And then we should do an Oklahoma drill against each other, which due to the CBA we're not allowed to do, but I would do it off campus.
That's a good point.
If we had to. And then apparently Henry gave me pink eye once, which was
he gave you pink eye?
Yeah, apparently.
Wow.
I mean, it's the internet, so it's got to be right.
Oh, 100%. Especially in the Twitter chat, they would never lie.
No,
tell
the truth in there.
Of course not. And speaking of telling the truth, we talked to the quarterbacks after practice today, James, and there was Bo. Interestingly enough, started. He was pissed off, and I don't know if it was
so quick with the answers in the
question
beginning.
that got him right away, or if it was he didn't like the way practice ended because he wasn't able to score at the very end, or if it's because of the rookie hazing that he had to do, carrying the pads off the field. But then he opened up as practice went along. And you went into that with one question that you wanted to ask, and you wanted answered. And we talked about it before the press conference started. I thought it was a great question, and you even got a great answer.
It was a very good answer
from Bo. Do you want to tee it up?
Well, I don't know if my question's on the clip or not, but I can tee it up.
Is the question there?
Okay.
Just includes the answer.
So I wanted to know, training camp, fans hang on every throw, and we're evaluating every throw, and everybody's looking at it. And the expectations are through the roof for a lot of these young quarterbacks here specifically as well. It's a first-round pick, 12th overall. Haven't had a quarterback since Peyton Manning in 2015. It's been a minute for this is one of the national brands in the NFL, one of the national franchises.
And Bo's the second highest draft pick as a quarterback ever for this team.
And the other one was pretty good, I'd say.
The other was Jay Cutler.
He was okay.
Yeah.
Listen, in the grand scheme of the quarterbacks after John and Peyton, Cutler's actually up there.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I asked him about expectations. It's a big thing. And how does he handle expectations? Because they're unavoidable in the NFL, and they're unavoidable at the quarterback position, really, if we're being honest with ourselves. So how does he handle them, and how does he compartmentalize expectations?
And here's what Bo said to that great question.
No, thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, one is not, looking at it, not seeing what everybody says, and not trying to go out there and find it. And, at the end of the day, nobody has a higher expectation than myself. Nobody has a higher standard, for how I play than me. So I think that's just kind of the most important thing is you're not falling back on those that, we're just seeing parts of it. You're truly, internally challenging yourself and trying to be the best that you can be. And most of the time they can see a throw and they may know about 25% of what actually was going in that throw. So I don't necessarily want to put too much into the outside noise and just continue to play my game. And I think I learned along the way you're going to miss one often, and so you just got to move on. And I feel like I've been better at moving on and just not letting it bother me and affect the next play.
Love that answer.
I do too.
And it reminded me of something he said the last time he talked to him 2 weeks ago when he threw that interception, then came back in practice and threw 3 straight touchdowns. He was asked how did he handle that interception. He said, I treat it like a touchdown with a short memory and just you move on to the next play. Mm-hmm. And I love that because great quarterbacks typically stay pretty even-keeled. Mm-hmm. You can't get too high, you can't get too low, and Bo certainly has that trait.
Well, you got to remember also, if you're young, and, you know, like some of the things he said today with it slowing down a little bit for him and he's getting really comfortable in the offense. When good things happen, it's real easy to get high pretty quick.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're like, oh, I'm starting to figure this out.
Yeah.
And you start feeling yourself a little bit. You're like, and this league will humble you constantly.
Yep.
It'll humble the best players. And so for his ability to avoid that, like which we saw in that answer, I think that means a lot as well. For he just has a good grasp. That's what I kind of understood out of all of this, because I think he does understand the expectations. The organization does too. Sean does. Everybody does. And I think he has a pretty good idea of kind of like how he wants to handle it. I think it looks like he came in with a plan of how he wants to handle it, and it seems like he already has a pretty good idea of how he wants to be able to go about it.
And not only does he come in with that plan, but I think there's a reason he comes in with that plan because he's experienced this before. Mm-hmm. Going to your father's alma mater where he was a star in the SEC, playing at Auburn, you think he had some pretty high expectations?
You think?
In the SEC and how they were talking about him.
You ever been to Auburn, Alabama?
I've never been to Auburn. I've been to Tuscaloosa. Never Auburn.
Way to answer that question for all those Auburn fans out there. You ever been to Auburn? No, but I've been to Tuscaloosa.
Oh, yeah.
Just roasting all the Auburn fans.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not much in Auburn other than what's happening with Auburn football.
Than football. Yeah. Exact. Jarrett Stidham and Bo Nix both went to Auburn, which is wild. So he had massive expectations. And then he transfers and goes to a notorious top 25 program, becomes our starting quarterback. How do you think those expectations were?
Yeah.
How do you think the expectations were middle of this season when he's thrown 45 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, when he's on the doorstep of the college football playoffs? I mean, he has dealt with extremely high expectations. Mm-hmm. Now, Oregon expectations aren't the same as Denver Broncos expectations. No. The SEC, honestly, might be kind of close to the Broncos' expectations, but he's walking into a place where there's John Elway, there's Peyton Manning, there's a history of great quarterbacks, and I do think that he has that even temper, and all the background he brings in is huge.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and that's what we're kind of. I know I am. I'm looking at making calls about like all of these guys. I want to know all 6 of these quarterbacks taken in the first round, kind of what their situations are. They're all dealing with different situations, and they're all dealing with expectations. And the reason we got on this is because Hard Knocks was awesome last night. I thought it was great on the Bears. And that was a really cool conversation between Matt Eberflus and Nick Saban. When Eberflus has Saban into the facility, he played for him at Toledo. He was his middle linebacker. And,
that's wild.
And they have a long relationship. And Saban's number one thing with young quarterbacks is how do they handle and how do you as a head coach handle the expectations? And I thought that was really, really interesting, and that's why we kind of got on this from last night, because obviously they have it with Caleb Williams. Yeah. That is an organization that doesn't even have 2 great quarterbacks to look back upon. No. They've never even had a 4,000-yard passer ever in the history of the Bears, and they've been around for an eternity.
Yeah, the only team.
So he's like the savior. How do they handle the expectations with him? And that's where I do think the quarterbacks are a little bit different. I think they're all personality-wise a little bit different.
That's
Caleb and I think Bo are very different in terms of their personality. And so I thought that was very interesting from Saban, because who doesn't have higher expectations than Nick Saban year in and year out? It's like national championship or bust.
Yeah.
How do you teach these young quarterbacks to be able to compartmentalize it? I don't know if there's going to be a lot of teaching with Bo on how to handle it. It seems like he has a decent grasp.
And isn't a big thing is just trying to not look and buy into the expectations and be on social media?
Yeah, I guess. But social media is pretty unavoidable these days.
If you're a quarterback in training camp, is it? I mean, I don't
know.
I mean, you're right. It's everywhere. It's just in the palm of your hand. But
Your teammates are going to let you know it, too, if it's out there.
That's true.
Happened with Lucas Kroll at practice.
Yeah.
Through all that love. Teammates gave him some grief on it, you know.
But I think that's a huge thing, and we heard from Bo, too. I mean, going beyond just his Auburn days, he was playing varsity football.
Oh, he did say this
in
today.
8th grade.
Yeah.
8th grade.
No, not 8th grade. Halfway through 8th grade.
Yeah, you're right.
He didn't start the season
halfway through 8th grade.
as a starter.
Right. Yep. He's playing
Halfway
JV in 7th grade.
He was the starter.
And then he's like, yeah, when healthy, I've been the starter of my football team, my top football team since 9th grade. Yeah. So freshman year of high school, he's been the guy. And that will be interesting how he handles if he isn't the starter. I don't think that's going to be the case. I still think he's the favorite to be the starter. But I think he would handle it fine. But you just never know. For a guy that's been a starter for what? How long has this been? 10 straight years?
Well, that's why they have those conversations that we've been kind of bringing up the last couple of days, right? Like, there's so much success for a lot of these guys. They're the best player on their team if you're a first-round pick, usually, right? Like, you've been the guy. You're probably the best player that's ever played at your high school. In the history of your high school.
Yeah.
There's a chance. So, like, yeah, how do you handle this competition? I think this competition's actually been good for a lot of these guys. I think Stidham talked about it today, like how good it is for all of them to compete this way and to compete the way they've competed. I just think he seems to have, every time we've talked to him, just a very level-headed grasp on all of it. And he seems like he wants to compete.
He does.
And I like that part of him.
Yeah, I love it as well. And you know what he doesn't like, though? He doesn't necessarily like the rookie. It's not even hazing anymore, really,
Can't
is
haze,
it?
guys. You can't haze.
What's it called? The rookie treatment?
Yeah, rookie treatment.
The
rookie chores.
Yeah, the rookie chores is a good one. And we heard from Bo Nix, we heard from Jarrett Stidham about Bo Nix's rookie treatment. And as you hear is dialing it up, I'm going to tell you about our friends over at Shady Rays, where, James, today might be the last day for a couple of days that you need your Shady Rays out at Broncos training camp. We've hit 15 straight days of 90 degrees in Denver. It has been sunny. It has been hot. And Shady Rays are the only relief for that sun. And if you use the code DNVR, you're going to get 35% off all of their polarized sunglasses. Plus, they've got hundreds of different styles, but they also have ski goggles.
Oh,
if you want ski goggles, yep, right up your alley.
You guys give me a pair?
Yeah, ShadyRays.com. We're over 300,000 people have given them 5-star ratings. Use that code DNVR to get 35% off. They're already affordable sunglasses at Shady Rays. We love them. I met our friend Andrew Farmer, who listens to this show. He was wearing Shady Rays yesterday, actually the same ones that Ryan has. So if you get a pair of Shady Rays, you're going to love them. If you live in Colorado, you're going to use them over 300 days of the year. Right. Well worth the investment over at ShadyRays.com and use that code DNVR. We've got a new partner here, James. I want to tell you about Rugged Road.
Let me sit up.
What's your guess of what Rugged Road is?
Rugged Road. I have no clue.
Coolers.
Oh.
And rugged coolers. These things can withstand anything.
I like that.
I mean, maybe you can even drive over them. That's why it's a Rugged Road. And we're giving you a discount over at RuggedRoadOutdoors.com by using the code DNVR to get 10% off your order. Whether it's summer adventures, whether it's fall adventures, winter adventures, Rugged Road products are designed to withstand anything. It's for innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the best. James, I mean, we're talking to you right here.
This is me, man. I got to get in the Rugged Road world.
Whether it's mountain biking, whether it's
I usually
hiking,
soup up my own coolers, but this might just come.
Rugged Road might do it. Lightweight design, too, so if you are mountain biking, you can take it.
I don't think you put it on your back.
Probably not. No, maybe you can, though, if it's that lightweight. But unlike other heavy-duty coolers, Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light, makes it easy to transport wherever you're going. So go to RuggedRoadOutdoors.com for your Rugged Road coolers. Use that code DNVR for 10% off over at RuggedRoadOutdoors.com. All right, let's hear from Jarrett Stidham about Bo Nix's rookie treatment that's going on. And Jarrett just didn't want to stop talking about it. So enjoy this answer.
See Bo carrying your guys' shoulder pads.
Oh yeah, let's
summarize his rookie chores.
Well, so he's got to carry our pads. That's a mandatory. Pretty much anything that goes wrong, I just blame him. I had a rookie haircut from Tom my rookie year. I think that's against the rules nowadays. We're not much of a snacking group, so we don't make him get snacks or anything. Sometimes I forget if I forget something in my locker, I'll make him go get it. Yeah, he's pretty much. Yeah, he's got to do certain stuff for sure. And at whatever point we decide to do his rookie dinner, I will be getting a nice bottle of wine or something that he's going to be paying for. So I'll make sure that's a really, really nice dinner, and I'll leave very, very happy and not hungry. So it'll be great.
Is he been receptive to these rookie duties?
Whether or not if he is or if he isn't, he doesn't really have a choice. And sometimes he'll kind of bicker a little bit back at me. And I'm like, Bo, we have literally all done this before. So I make sure he gets his rookie duty, especially being a first round pick. I actually make fun of him and Zach all the time because in their rookie contracts, they've made more money than I have in my entire career at this point. So I'm like, you two are not off the hook. So I let them have it for sure.
Not only has Jarrett Stidham gone through the rookie treatment before, his was actually rookie hazing, I'm sure, potentially.
Just threw a casual Tom in there.
Yeah, Tom Brady.
From Tom.
And his hair grew back just fine, I can see there.
He's got tremendous salad.
Oh, he does. Oh, here's the haircut from Tom.
Yeah.
They actually went kind of easy on him.
They did go easy on him.
I mean, if you just take it all off.
Remember Garrett Bowles' rookie haircut?
Oh my gosh.
Looked like a fryer.
Yeah.
It was just
Didn't Tim Tebow have like just a ridiculous one
was
too?
really
Tebow
bad
had the fryer too.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
He had a similar
Tebow
one
had a fryer.
that Garrett had. Listen, if Zach's gonna bicker back, if Bo's gonna bicker back a little bit, he better remember what used to happen.
Exactly.
With a lot of these rookies.
I mean, I remember Derek Wolfe a couple years ago. I think when Vic Fangio got here, it wasn't just the Broncos, but kind of every team was like, okay, the hazing part of this is done. And I remember Derek Wolfe being pissed.
Yeah,
because he was like, no. I went through that.
Yeah,
I want to put these guys through.
I want to hurt some people.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
It seemed like reading between the lines what it kind of.
I want to take some tires off of people's cars and leave them stranded here overnight.
Did that happen?
I think so.
Oh gosh, that's brutal. But that rookie dinner can be brutal on the pocketbook. That can be.
I don't think Jared's going to feel bad about getting a very nice bottle of wine, getting a couple of steaks.
I bet he's got good taste in wine.
Yeah, he probably does. And I know Sean has good taste in wine. So,
yeah.
But I mean, he probably doesn't feel bad because, as he said, Bo's made way more money than he has already.
No, not already.
Oh, signing bonus probably.
Signing bonus. Well,
that might come close.
Yeah, it might be actually.
We're also not counting NIL money. He probably signed an NIL deal.
Oh, NIL last year. That's true. Jared probably wishes he had NIL at Auburn.
Jared
There's
got 10 on this deal.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
maybe right around there.
Yeah.
That's wild.
We'll see.
Speaking of Jarrett, we also talked to him today, and he is.
Well, this is a good quote.
He is not taking the role that Broncos Country wants him to take. When I say Broncos Country, I'm just talking about fans, where fans want Stidham to step back, let Bo go ahead of him, and then just be that good mentor in the background for Bo. Stidham's going to be a great teammate if he's a starter, if he's a backup, whatever role he has.
Do you think so?
I do, but maybe a little less after hearing this answer. He was asked, what exactly was he asked?
Do you think you've done enough? Like, do you think you've played like you deserve the starting job? Essentially, that was it. Like,
Exactly.
Have you played well
it.
enough to think that you deserve the starting job more or less? Yeah.
And here's what he said.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I felt like, quite honestly, I had a great spring. Second year in the system, like I said earlier, things just are coming more naturally to me and within the system and that sort of thing. And I feel like training camp so far has been really good. Just going back and forth every day, learning the guys. I mean, we've got some new guys here, but also there's a lot of us here that played together last year. So just to keep building relationships on and off the field. It's been. I think I said it a couple weeks ago. I think we got a really special group of guys that really genuinely care about each other, and that's one of the things that I think makes us, a really good team. And I haven't had that everywhere I've been before. So that's definitely one of the biggest things for sure.
I like it. Don't back down. Don't let them just hand the job to to Bo. I don't think that's best for you. I don't think that's best for Bo.
No.
You don't want him to just kind of like not have competition, let him just kind of walk right into the job. I believe Jarrett has had this advice, to my understanding, from a couple of Hall of Fame Broncos during the offseason to try to make go out there and make the job as difficult as possible on Bo. That's your job. Like, we know they picked him at 12. We know that Sean, sees a lot in him and thinks he can be the future of the franchise. Well, don't make it easy. Like, go out there. You know your job right now.
Yeah.
But my issue is, Stidham's awesome, like great dude.
Yep.
But what if like he clearly wins the job, in his eyes and maybe some other teammates' eyes, and then the announcement comes that Bo won the job? Would you be all that stoked to stick around? I'm not saying that's happening. I'm just thinking hypothetically. Like,
Sure. No, you feel slighted.
would you feel a little slighted,
especially when you're told
probably.
this is a competition?
Yeah. I'm just kind of, that's like in my back of my head a little bit. And I think that's also why you don't rush to make the decision.
Right.
And they haven't been. They've been pretty patient with it, honestly.
So then when it comes to this quarterback-specific competition, how much more do you think these preseason games are weighted? Because that's when the world gets to watch. That's when there's no questioning, okay, how did this guy actually do compared to the other one?
I mean, the answer that everybody gives is it's all part of the puzzle, right? It's the same thing as the draft, like the pro day and then the tape and then the visit and the interviews. So they're all piecing the different pieces of the puzzle together to kind of come up with your best, analysis during the draft. The same thing with training camp. It's like consistency is the number one thing that you're going to want, specifically from the quarterback spot. So are you stringing together days? So that's when training camp really matters, if it's days built on top of each other. And then it's also the preseason games are part of it. I mean, they definitely are. That's your only limited reps to be in, an actual game atmosphere. This team also does get the joint practices with the Packers, so that plays into it as well. I do think, though, that's when you're really going to see, like, I think we're going to know what we're going to kind of get out of Stidham a little bit more than there's more of an unknown with Bo here and here. Probably in the preseason, right? And you'd want it to be obviously at the top, that he exceeds what you've seen in camp.
Do we think we see Stidham, though, show us that he's not just steady Stidham and tries to push the ball downfield, kind of like we've seen in these important end-of-game situations, to say, no, you're not limited when I'm on the field. I can throw the ball deep, too.
Yeah, I would have the exact same approach that he's had in camp. I would do the exact same thing, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then if I'm Zach Wilson, I'm doing it even more.
Oh, you're trying
every single play, every run call that comes in, I'm audibling to a deep bomb. No, obviously you don't do that. Then you'll be just cut from the team. But I mean, both of those guys have nothing to lose, James. It kind of should make for a fun preseason.
I think it'll be really good. I mean, I think there's a lot of intrigue. We broke it down forever yesterday about how interesting Zach Wilson is here, and a change of scenery, and him working with Sean. And I think I was talking to some media members up top, and I was kind of like, I think this camp has gone better than I expected it would for Zach Wilson as a whole. Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think this past 10 practices have been
so
better.
Like, it's going to be fun to watch him out there.
Yeah.
For sure. And it's going to be fun to watch Bo Nix. I mean, like, there's a lot of excitement to watch these quarterbacks in these preseason games. Like, some years you're like, starters aren't going to play. We know who the backups are. Like, there's a lot of reasons to watch these Broncos preseason games.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get out of here, you just answered the question about Bo Nix, or about Zach Wilson. He's outperformed your expectations 13 practices through training camp. Let me ask you about the other two guys. Where's Jarrett Stidham been with your expectations?
I think he's on par with them. I thought he would be the most in-command quarterback out there. I thought he'd be steady, like we always kind of half joke about, but it's true. Like, he hasn't really, I mean, the pick was a bit weird today, but he hasn't really turned the ball over.
Right.
He doesn't really make a whole bunch of mistakes. He's been kind of exactly what I thought he would be in year 2 of this system. And then with Bo, I think it's been actually a little bit better than I thought. I think the progress is happening a little bit quicker than I initially expected it to be, because there's a lot in this offense. Sean throws a lot at you. And he seems to be picking it up pretty well. So, yeah, I think he's exceeded expectations, him and Zach Wilson. And I think Stidham's been exactly what you would want out of Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah, and now if you asked me going into OTAs, Jarrett Stidham, I would say he has blown expectations out of the water because he is so much better now in this year than he was last year. Not just in the 2 games he played, but in training camp as well. But then he had a great OTAs, and so I did have higher expectations, and he has kind of lived up to those as well, which is good for Bo Nix to push him for that. And I would agree with you. Bo Nix, his trend up has happened a lot quicker than I thought it.
For sure.
Than I thought it was going to.
The progress is definitely there.
Yep. It's
definitely there. And that's like the number one thing you want to know early on. Like, and it hasn't had like these lulls in it either. It's been a pretty consistent progress and learning curve for him. I think that's been the most impressive part for me.
Yep, me too as well. James, would you say you are trending up, or have you hit your peak and you just flattened out?
I don't know. I'm in here. I want to read these comments, but some of them are pretty mean. But
the Toyota chat, man.
Yeah, it'll get you.
It will.
But no, I'm having a really good time at camp. It's been fun. I'm going to hit the road soon, so I've been enjoying Denver and being here, being at home, and try to maybe hit.
You're not used to that.
No. I'm just going to have some late travel in this camp. So.
You West Coast, East Coast, all around?
I don't know.
TBD?
I got a TBD. It's a little late, but I wanted to hit that group of California teams all right there. I might do the Northeast because they're all kind of like drivable.
Yeah.
Pretty close to one another. I kind of want to see the Falcons.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Little Captain Kirk.
Yeah, I want to see
Michael
what Captain
Penix?
Kirk looks like. Michael Penix. They got really great skill guys.
Yeah.
Like new coaching staff. I want to see Raheem in like his second go as a head coach. I think Atlanta's a spot I'd like to kind of check out.
Atlanta in August. That's fascinating.
I live there in August. It's terrible. So I know what I'm getting into. That would be pretty, but it'd be cool to go. I want to see some of the. I want to see the Commanders and just see how Jane Daniels looks. I'd like to hit Chicago for Caleb Williams, and I mean that's a pretty good roster there. So I'm trying to figure out where we're headed. We'll see.
Man, the world's your oyster. The U.S., the NFL is your oyster,
Here it is.
James.
Yes.
And we're so happy that you're spending training camp with us. And we'll be back tomorrow. One more real practice this week because Friday, it's more of a walkthrough. They're going to be using cards, so we're not going to be able to gain much from that. So one more real practice tomorrow.
One more real practice.
We're breaking it down right around 1:45, 2 p.m., maybe as early as 1:30. We'll see you back on the DNVR Broncos podcast.
Boom.
We all silly like the mayor.